All right, looks like we're having some people coming in here. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Okay, for those who are just joining this, you might get to hear me say this a few times, so I apologize if it's too repetitive for other folks that are coming in. We're going to be posting directions on getting into the hands-on lab portion here. So if you can direct your attention to the chat window, look at that. We've already posted it. Please open up a in private, incognito, or guest browser, and then click on that link, the CDX link. It'll take you to a new page, which will show you, you type in your name, and then you select the persona that you want to be today. And then when you're done, when you click on that persona, launch the persona, you'll get a black screen, okay? And when you've done that, just come back to the chat window and type in GTG, good to go, and then well, that'd be great. So just thank you so much for coming today. We're going to be starting this officially at about 3 minutes after the hour to get people in. So just sit tight and use that. All right. Good morning,
until
Charlie.
then, it's going to be a party.
Yeah. All right. So let's see. Charlie's in. Good job, Charlie. All right, Lydia. Okay. So yeah, when you're done launching the solution, please come back to the chat window and just type in GTG like that. Good to go. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. So Katie, in the meantime, you're going to have to send me that hack. You know, I got girls in my house, so
yeah.
I'm sure they would love to try that out. So
yeah, and so we're talking about how I curled my hair. You can use like any old, or new item of clothing. You just kind of cut it into a long, string, thicker string. And then you start up here, you like put it halfway up here and slowly kind of curl your hair around it. I know especially Philip would love this hack. You curl your hair around it and then just loop it in the back and tie it in the front and then sleep with it. And boom.
That's awesome. That is awesome. I'm definitely going to tell the kids about that. Bonnie, would you mind just sending out a quick reminder to the registrants?
Yes, I can do that.
Okay. So Charlie or Lydia, if you can come off of mute, can you just let me know that you've gotten a chance to click on the cdx.transform link?
Was that in the invite?
No, if you go to the chat window, Lydia, go to the chat window. We actually posted I'll repost it just in case.
Gotcha. Oh, maybe not. Trying to beat him there.
Yeah.
And then Tony and Charlie, if you come off of mute, let me know if you got a chance to click on that link. That'd be great.
I'm doing it now.
All right. Good morning, Tenweir. We're going to enable you to talk here, and Charlie as well. So Phil, can you make sure you click on those, allow them to talk? And I think Charlie needs that as well.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
I missed Charlie. Sorry about that, Charlie.
All right. Charlie's good to go. All right. We got one in. All right.
Charlie's the winner. I feel like he needs a prize.
Susan, good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much for coming today. We're going to allow you to talk. Susan, if you could go to the chat window, please. And I'm going to post it again just in case. I don't know if it reposts. If you go to the chat window, and what we want you to do is open up a in private, incognito, or a guest browser, and then click on the link that we just posted. Good morning, Matthew. We're going to allow you to talk here in just a second here.
Oh, thanks. Good morning.
Good morning. Matthew, if you could go to the chat window, we're just doing some stuff to get into the hands-on lab portion. The chat window, there's a CDX link there. So open up an in private or guest browser, click on that link, type in your name and select a persona that you want to be today. It's getting you into the hands-on lab portion. And when everyone's actually done it, if they can come back to the chat window and just type in GTG, good to go, then we'll get started here in just about another couple minutes. Lydia's in. All right. Good job, Lydia. All right.
Go
So we
Lydia.
Lydia's in. Charlie's in. Matthew's in. Awesome. Let's see. Susan, did you get in by any chance?
I am in, yes.
All right. Susan's in. All right. So Susan, GTG. Perfect. All right. Let's see. And Tanwir, can you unmute and just let me know if you're in or not? And let's see. Okay, we just got Stephanie Lim just came in. Good morning, Stephanie. How are you today? You can unmute if you like. And Stephanie, if you could go to the chat window, there is a directions on getting in. Basically, you just open up an in private, incognito, or guest browser, and then click on that link. Keith Berman, thank you so much for coming today. Keith, we're going to allow you to talk here. And I'm sorry, everyone, if I keep repeating this. We'll get started in about 1 more minute here. Okay, so we have Tony's in. Awesome. All right. Keith, if you could go to the conversation window or the chat window, we put in a link in there, cdx.transform.microsoft.com. Click on that. That'll help you get into the hands-on lab portion of this session. And when you're done, please come back to the chat window and just type in GTG that you're in, okay? That you've launched a persona. All right, why don't we go ahead and get this kicked off here. Phil, if you could go ahead and put this on, put the message on, and then we'll get it to the company who actually is putting this on. Katie, would you like to take it away?
I would love to. Hello and welcome everybody to this Microsoft 365 Security Hands-On Lab. We're really excited to walk you through some different security concepts and tools available in this Microsoft 365 suite. So whether you're in Microsoft, whether you're looking at Microsoft, you'll get a good look and feel of what the admin side looks like and how you can further your security posture in Microsoft 365, give you more of a what we'll call a sophisticated security posture. My name's Katie Petty. I work with RyanTech Cloud Services. One of our pillars is to focus on the education side when it comes to teaching our customers to phish. You know, we can do it for you. A lot of companies can do it for you, but it's important for us to educate you in that process. And that's really the big reason why we're here today, to help you walk through a couple of different items. Pardon me, I do have a little bit of a cold today. I'm going to do my best to get through this. It's definitely not going to stop us from getting where we need to be. So with that, I will go ahead and just share my screen really quickly. Hey, give me 1 second. Oh, it looks like it's already being shared for me. Thank you. Oh, and it looks like there's some spacing issues there. Sorry. So who is RyanTech? A quick introduction. I have been in the tech industry and working with Microsoft specifically in the cloud. I've been with it since XP and Vista. And, you know, I've worked for 3 different companies. I like to work for a long time at each company. I've found some okay companies. I found some bad companies. I'm going to die with RyanTech. This company is so amazing, from the employees to how we feel about RyanTech to how things are done. And so really our goal is to position ourselves so that we can help our customers without stop when it comes to succeeding in the cloud. Go ahead and click through the next 4 items. We're a tier 1 CSP. So there's different types of Microsoft partners, if you don't know that already. A cloud solution provider, or CSP for short, is actually a partner type that Microsoft created when cloud came out, and they assign their own licensing to it. CSPs can do things that other companies or partner types rather cannot. And we work basically really closely with Microsoft. The fact that we're a tier 1 CSP, it means that we don't work through any distributors. We're working directly with Microsoft. In fact, when we work with Microsoft support, we're not working with low-level techs on behalf of our customers. We're actually working with the engineers who built the products, and in some cases can work, through a customer's issue. We've had a case before where we've brought this to an engineer at Microsoft for Intune, and they were able to push out a worldwide update to help everybody that was having that issue. So we didn't just help our customers there, we kind of helped anyone who was trying to use Intune and do this specific thing with a Mac device. Really, we like to work from pain points. So whether that's, looking at going into the cloud or, saying, well, half of our workforce works remotely, half of them don't. We actually, back in 2006 or 2007, we kind of did just a cannonball into Microsoft's cloud products. We didn't do a dip your toes in. We migrated all of our systems into Microsoft's cloud and sent everyone home and to different states. Whatever home meant for the employees, that's what we did. So we've all been working from home for years. And through that, we learned a lot about the pain points that come with migrating into the cloud, and also adopting to the cloud. And also, we're in the cloud, we're comfortable. We want to keep building in the cloud, increase our security posture, build out a SharePoint site. Any pain points that we personally experienced, we've alleviated. We've hired Microsoft engineers and Microsoft Tech SharePoint specialists in-house. And we just simply extend those people to our customers as if they were a part of your own team. Pardon me again. We do offer advanced support and security. A part of a CSP's obligations are to handle billing, support, and then also any migrations or project work that needs to be done specifically in Microsoft's cloud. Our support, I would say, is not just typical, like, you send in a ticket, we send you a link to an article and close the ticket because we helped you, whether you like the answer or not. That is not how we do things. We work on behalf of you with Microsoft, and we work as a liaison between if it is something we need to get Microsoft involved in. Our team is 100% in the US. They've, our lead in our help desk, I think, has been with RyanTech for 13 years. So he's got me beat. I've only been here for 5 years. But, we're kind of, we like to joke when it comes to our support that, and Sherman knows this. I bet he knows exactly what I'm going to say. But if you were to take a knife and, put a little cut in our arm, little Microsoft logos would bleed out, right, Sherman?
Yeah, seriously. Yeah.
Yeah. So Microsoft Cloud is all we do. It's our baby. We fully function in it, and it's our goal to provide security and support. Actually, security is a part of our support when it comes to our customers thriving in Microsoft's cloud. And then, you can do what's popular, but, we kind of have been a partner to challenge Microsoft. In fact, towards the end here, I'll talk about a proprietary product that RyanTech built called RyanTech Cloud Protect. That came because we were challenging Microsoft, specifically when it comes to breach protection, monitoring attempted breaches. We were kind of pushing them. What happens if somebody bypasses MFA and they didn't have an answer? So instead of doing what's popular and working from more of a reactive approach, an example of working from a reactive approach when it comes to breach protection is a part of our support is if you happen to get breached, our support will hop into your tenant, kick the hacker out, revert any changes they tried to make, and then work with you to identify the vulnerability and kind of where that came from, and also work with you to keep that from happening again, whether we change some settings on the security side in your tenant or Office 365 control panel, or maybe just, provide you with some user education pieces to educate those users or, your entire user base to keep that from happening again. Go ahead and go to the next slide, please. So we work off of 3 main pillars. Some of you today may already be migrated into the cloud. Some of you may be considering it. Migration is a huge part of obviously getting to the cloud, and the education around it. If you're not there yet, there's a lot of questions. Please feel free to reach out to me or to reach out to RyanTech. We're happy to have any conversations around migrations or any of the other 2 pillars that you would like to have. We provide consultation for free as a customer or prior to being a customer. You don't have to pay to find out what it's going to look like. We just don't believe in that. So when it comes to education around migrations, assisting with migrations, feel free to call me up. I don't bite. Once you're in the cloud, once you've migrated to the cloud, then it comes to, okay, well, Microsoft has all of these different tools, like even in their base suite, there's email and there's OneDrive. Everybody gets their 1 terabyte of cloud storage. And then there's SharePoint. How the heck do we set up our own intranet? We can help you kind of identify what is most important and work in a phased approach when it comes to adoption. You don't have to have everything thrown at you at once. We don't necessarily encourage it. And, as a part of the migration, security is obviously why we're here. It's a big part of it. We, as we sign people up, as we set up their tenants or bring them on if they're already in the cloud, we work through a security standpoint. We actually have a checklist we run through. You have the option to say, no, I don't want multi-factor authentication, or I don't want, group policy permission levels for certain things. But we do, from the very beginning with us, work to increase your security posture. And even some of the things you'll see today, such as, Microsoft Secure Score and multi-factor authentication, those are things that we absolutely work to educate you on and put in front of you so that you don't have to, be reading through Microsoft, the 11th Microsoft webpage, and then say, hey, partner, like, why didn't you tell me about this? We put that in front of you. And then protection in the cloud. This is something that I'll definitely speak to down, after we've done this, what Sherman, what is it? Help me out. I'm brain farting.
I'm sorry. Which,
I was going to say after we've done this walkthrough, I guess.
Yeah.
I was just brain farting. I was looking for some help. So anyway, with that, I will put my information in the chat at the end of this. Please feel free to reach out for any questions. With that, I'll go ahead and hand it over to Sherman and we will kick this thing off.
All right, great. Thank you so much. So just to kind of give everybody we have a lot of people who just joined here. If you could come go to the chat window, please. There's directions on how to get into the hands-on lab portion of this event. You'll click on I want to open up a guest browser, click on this cdx.transform link, type in your name, select one persona, please, and then push launch, and it'll bring into a black screen. So just real quickly, there's 3 ways of learning. There's, let me give you a little background. My company and what we do, we're the main learning partner for Microsoft US and Canada subsidiary. And we teach Azure classes. We teach Azure, we teach security. We do about 36 sessions a month for Microsoft customers. So they can trust us to do that. In this role, what we're here today, myself and Philip, I'm your moderator today. Philip is actually going to be your lead guide today. But this is called a customer immersion experience. I'm classically trained to do death by PowerPoint, to put you to sleep with 176 slides in an hour, but we're not going to have any more slides. That's the conclusion of it. Today is actually a better way of learning, which is learn by doing, right? Is clicking through, click, 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 click. And that's what we want to do. So in the meantime, after you've done that, if you can come back and tell us good to go, you're ready, this would be awesome. And then we want to get right into it. So I'm going to pass this over to Phil here. He's going to talk about a little theory on Microsoft 365. And then what we're going to do is get right into it. Okay, so we have a little bit of theory first, just kind of talk about it, but then we're going to get right into clicking. And that's what we really want to do. So while you're heading over to Phil, one of the first things that Phil's going to ask you is to actually put into the chat window maybe something that you're looking to learn, or tell us like maybe your experience inside of Azure, or not Azure, but security, Microsoft security. Maybe you say you're a beginner. I'm just looking to learn more. Give us some sort of feedback here, because this way we can make sure if there's something specific, we can touch on it, right? So we're the experts on the security side of it. Happy to help you out. All right, we get it right over to Phil. And Phil, let's get this going, brother.
All right, Sherman, I appreciate it. Yeah, while you're doing that, please give us your feedback real quick on what you like to learn here today, what you're looking for. Maybe we can kind of tailor it that way a little bit, or hit on things that maybe we wouldn't normally hit and get to them. So just a little bit about my background. I was a first sergeant in the Marine Corps for 20 years. I was a communications guy by trade. But in my tenure, I directed both joint and multi-national forces and special operations. I established cohesive communications, rather it be handheld radios to, mobile networks and secure networks. So, providing satellite access and internet access. So I had 4 combat deployments in Afghanistan and Iraq. I was a combat instructor and an anti-terrorism officer, and I also have a master's degree in Homeland Security. So as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, my entire adult life has been security of some sort. So what I like about security, for myself, is everything's very similar when we're talking about security, in depth, in layers, stuff like that, because that really hones in on my Marine stuff that we kind of use. So if you do have any questions, though, please go ahead and ask. You're not interrupting me whatsoever. Somebody probably has the same question, so go ahead and say it out loud or put it in the chat. No problem.
Raise your hand, that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, you can raise your hand too. There you go. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into it real quick. We're going to talk about really the landscape of security, and we're going to really cover and go over some of the key capabilities and functions of Microsoft 365 Security Suite. And you'll notice how Microsoft's really changed the way they protect their customers' businesses as they transitioned from on-prem to a cloud service. And it's no longer about protecting, the perimeter around your resources or your combat post, right? It's kind of the way I like to think of it, but it's also about the air above. So, as a recently retired Marine, I understand security and, not just physical sense, but, a cyber sense as well. So you can imagine, right? This is how I kind of think of it. If you can, imagine a bunch of MiG fighter jets, right? Piloted by hackers dropping bombs on your network. And what we need now is really, intelligent access controls. And this ensures that only approved users can really access secure information. And what's cool about Microsoft is it's really about simplicity. Their version of a well-versed security solution is really simple to understand, both for the IT and the end user. And when we make security too complex, not only do we compromise the end user, but we introduce other problems, right? So we have to find a fine line somewhere where we don't make it so strict that we can't work, but not so loose that we're all willy-nilly, right? As we move forward, we're talking about zero trust here. So zero trust really, what is zero trust first? Instead of assuming everything behind the firewall is safe, zero trust model assumes that every request is an actual breach. And, when that happens, it verifies that and, basically authorizes it. So regardless of, what they're trying to request or, where it's originating from, zero trust teaches us to never trust, but always verify. So every access request is actually authenticated, authorized, and encrypted before even gaining access, which is really great. And that's really due to the rich intelligence and analytics that, utilizes to detect and respond to, anomalies in real time. So, in real time, we can see if it's a trusted user on a trusted device while using trusted applications, and that really empowers our users. So, in cybercrime, 2.9 million per minute is lost in cybercrime. So, by the time we're done with this this lab here, 261 million is going to be lost in that time frame, and that's a huge number that we need to stop, right? So I know what you're saying. You're saying, Phil, how do we do this, right? And we do this by using a smart cloud. So Microsoft has a smart cloud. They call it the Microsoft Intelligent Security Graph, and it relies on the vast security, intelligence, and machine learning and analytics that powers both the Microsoft Defender Smart Screen and then also to the Microsoft Defender antivirus. And what this does is it classifies applications to be good, bad, or unknown. And on the most basic level, to keep it, dumb it down a little bit, is really it's just a data plane, and it collects all the telemetry from all the other applications that Microsoft has. And from the billions and billions of scans that Microsoft actually does, they can see these threats. And then what they do is they protect you by sending out updates. And this automatically blocks those threats. And we really come to the point, these days where, our minds and hands can no longer keep up. So we have to use these smart clouds, right? And like I was talking about before, how security has really shifted as we move to the cloud, right? Remember, it's not about the barrier, but security is about managing identities for secure access, really. So great thing about Microsoft, they let you leverage this by managing identities using multi-factor authentication, or MFA. So I'm gonna put out a poll real quick, and this poll is really gonna ask you, does your organization enable MFA? Do you use it? Do you even know what it is before we get into it? A lot of yeses coming in. If it's a no, it's okay. Recently implemented MS Defender, DLP, looking for a way to shift through. Nice, nice. Okay, well, we're going to be talking about DLP, Susan, here in a bit. All right, some good answers here. A few no's, some yeses. That's okay. I'll keep that up there for a second here. So yeah, when we're talking about MFA, right? MFA is critical because identities are critical, right? That's what the bad actors are trying to get to. And MFA really needs to be the foundation of your security program. And I have no idea how to build a home. I've never built anything before, maybe like a birdhouse and a wood shop in high school or junior high, right? But when you build a house, you have to have a good foundation, right? That's something I do know. And, MFA should be, the good foundation to your new security home. So there are very many ways that you can use MFA. You can use, text to phone, call to phone. You can use the Authenticator app, which I want to kind of show you right here today. I don't know if you can see my screen yet, the office.com screen. And I want to show you what basically MFA looks like and does. So I'm going to sign in real quick. So I'm going to sign into my credentials here. And what's going to happen is, because I have the Authenticator app, right? So there's other ways you can do so. You can have 3 ways here. I'm going to use the Authenticator app, and I'm going to get basically a notice on my phone here. And it's going to ask me to actually approve this sign in. All right, I'm gonna hit approve, right? It's gonna use my facial recognition here. And now I'm off and running. And this is what it kind of looks like. You can have different accounts here. This one's showing like a fingerprint or thumbprint, right? But it also uses facial recognition as well. You can do something from your smartwatch as well. And what's great about the Authenticator app is you can actually go into the Authenticator app and actually see, how many times you've logged in. You can see, different places you logged in, what the IP address was, just in case that it might not be you, right? So if it's not you, maybe you're, sitting in, laying in bed at, 4 in the morning, right? And you get this text on your phone, hey, do you want to approve this sign in? And you're nowhere near a computer whatsoever. You definitely don't want to hit approve. I know we're busy. We're kind of like, oh, just hit it and go. That's a no-go criteria there, right? So make sure that you know what you're signing into and what you're authorizing. So now that we have a second form of authentication, right? Now we're at the root of identity-driven security, and that's what we like to call conditional access. And conditional access is really the capability that helps us better protect our users and our business's information, right? And so it's really just make sure that only secure devices actually access secure applications. And these credentials are really enforced by policy or multiple policies, for other users to access these resources and information. So lost and stolen credentials real quick, 80%, ladies and gentlemen, is the reason for, security related breaches. And, we can minimize this by using passwords, 3 out of 5 attacks, right? But, what we're realizing now is, that organizations these days are really more affected by that complex, security attacks, right? The ones we hear about in the news, like the oil pipeline, stuff like that, the huge stuff that affects us all kind of, right? But what about the stuff that we don't hear about? What if you're a small business owner? Like, man, what happens to them? So, while that happens, we need to ensure that we have a strong foundation in place to begin, protecting ourselves, and that's through MFA. So if a bad guy had got my credentials, immediately they would have my information, but now I have a second form of authentication, right? They would have to have my device here. They would have to have my username and password. They would have to have my fingerprint or face, and that's not happening today. You know what I mean? So we need to integrate that second form of authentication for sure. So thank you for answering the poll there. I want to kind of get into security at the application layer real quick before we get in the first lab here. So what I like to do is show you my screen, and when let's say, for me, I like to go to the gym, right? So I'm at the gym. I'm waiting for an email, right? Because when we're on the move or we're working from home, right? Because how many of you telework from home? A lot of us probably, right? It's become essential these days for businesses, right? And when we're talking about security, securing data on a personal device, we can't protect the device anymore, right? Because it's not ours, of course. But what we can protect are the applications itself. And I'm going to show you this. So, I'm at the gym. I'm going to log into my phone here, and I'm sure I'm going to get an important email from somebody that I'm waiting for, right? So I go to my Outlook, and it asks me for my biometrics, whether it's a face scan or fingerprint. And I use my biometrics to actually get into my work account on my my Office, right? Or my Outlook, which is very cool. Someday when we're not part of the organization, or maybe when somebody leaves the organization, right? The company data can be removed without even affecting the personal information on their phone or their phone personally, right? So what makes this happen in this scenario is, that I showed you here today is, your IT department or maybe RyanTech, right, is, really just configuring the Microsoft endpoints and management on different policies that you can, have using either Outlook or different Office apps, which is really great because, we sometimes we have to check when we're at home and doing things, right, on the weekend, because we got important stuff to do, right? So what I'd like to do right now is talk about applications on your work device real quick. And when we're talking about applications on your work device, let's say, can everybody see my screen here? We're good to go? Boom. All right. So when we're thinking about applications on a work device, we're here, maybe it's lunchtime, right? And, what do? We're checking social media, right? We're looking at the news. We're on our phones. We're thinking about future plans, right? Christmas is coming up soon, right? Man, that's crazy. It's coming up soon. But I'm thinking about, oh man, I gotta get a hotel room. I need to make some flights. I want to go see family, right? So I'm gonna go to my little app here. And I'm gonna go search, and I'm gonna go to Trivago real quick. And I want to download Trivago onto my work device because I want to see what good deals we got, right? And then boom, this application is blocked by its just administrator, right? And I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying, and I'll probably say it too. I'm like, man, I can't do nothing around here, right? It's like when you're a kid, your mom tells you no. You know, what you have to understand and what the bigger picture is there's no need for unapproved applications on a company device. You know, remember that zero trust model I was telling you about? There's no need for unnecessary risk. So when I was in Afghanistan or Iraq, right, and we're patrolling, you know, doing our thing, if, you know, there was an avenue that we were going down and we knew that there was some sort of IED in the road, there was no way I was sending my Marines down that road, right? Not when I could either go around or take another avenue or, you know, blow it up, because that's a lot funner, right? But, you know, while we're performing our jobs, you know, risk is going to be there from the different services and tools and applications that we use. And without having control and leveraging this in your environment, what we don't want is people downloading applications that we're unaware of, because that's risky to our business, right? And what you should have is something in like your teams that, you know, is basically like an approval list of what you can download, and then everything else should be automatically blocked, right? And that's really just for protecting your business or your company. So I know I ran my mouth a lot here. You know, is there any questions so far that we need to answer on anything that I covered so far before we get in this first lab here? And if you haven't done so already, while we're thinking about those questions, if you haven't picked a persona, make sure you go to that link, put your name in, hit the blue button, whatever one that's open, right? You might have to go to the second page. And then once it launches, it's going to open up into a black screen here. 1 second here, having a connection issue. 1 second. So sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. And while everyone gets there, right, what I'd like you to do is go inside to your web browser within the browser, right? Make sure you are not using your own browser, the browser within the browser. 1 second here, sorry about that. Okay, and now we're cooking with peanut oil, right? Is that the same? Okay, here we go. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Technical difficulties. Why not on a Friday, right? All right, so I'm gonna share my screen here. So what I'd like you to do, just like I said, go to your browser within the browser, right? On this virtual desktop here. And I want you to open up your web browser here. Now I've already put it in, but what I'd like you to do is go to security.microsoft.com, and I'm gonna put it in the chat here real quick. Okay. And once you get there, it's going to open up basically this Welcome to Microsoft 365 Defender homepage here. So once everybody's there, give me a thumbs up, give me a good to go. And we're going to talk about our first thing we're going to talk about here. Everybody's good? Everybody there? Am I going too fast? Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Let's go. Let's go. All right. Okay, so real quick, on the very top, you can see your persona, your settings. You move over a little hamburger. Sometimes it opens up like this. Just go ahead and open it up so you can see everything here. And the first thing I'd like you to do is go to the home, right? And I want you to click down to Secure Score, okay? Go down to Secure Score and go ahead and hit that real quick. And what it's going to do is open up basically an overview of what Secure Score is. And it's really just, you know, you can see your score here. You can see your improvement actions here. You can see some comparison data. I know it doesn't show right now. Different types of history, resources. It's a great window just to, you know, sneak a peek, right? And, you know, when we're talking about Secure Score, right, why is Secure Score important? Well, it's important because it tells you, basically the current state of your security posture. And, I'm going to ask you a question. You don't have to answer, but I want to ask you this. Is your credit score important to you? I would say yes, right?
Resounding yes. Yes.
Yes, it's hugely important, right? So this secure score here is actually your credit score for your Microsoft security, right? And what I like to do is go up to improvement actions here, right? And go ahead and click that. What I love about Microsoft, they love giving answers to the test. Because if you're not cheating, you're not trying, right? That's what we used to say in the Marine Corps. But when you go down to the bottom here, you can see 13 through 18. This actually is stuff that's already in there and already in play. But what Microsoft likes to do is they like to tell you, hey, number 1, you should start with and move on down to number 12, right? They're giving you the answers. So what I'd like to do is click on the MFA real quick. And what we're doing is we're looking at what actually MFA is. So you can see at the top, they give you the answer there, right? At a glance, it's about identities, right? Azure Active Directory, what users impacting, when you put this into play, right? Another implementation right here, you can actually do it yourself. But if you're too scared to kind of like push that through, RyanTech got it, right? So I want you to go to the back button here. And then I want you to go to history. So right where you were, go to history. Am I going too fast? Everybody's good? Okay, so when we're looking at this, I know it's man, that's a hefty drop, right? So basically this is just showing you your history of your security score, right? So as your score goes through, time, the more policies put in, it's actually going to go up, right? But what you have to realize that this is only going to show what's connected to Microsoft only. So if you have some kind of third-party app or anything like that that's not Microsoft itself, it's not going to show here on your secure score. So I want you to remember that in case you're using something else and you're like, man, why isn't it going up? Phil told me it was going to go up, right? But that's probably why. Okay, so I want you to go to metrics and trends real quick. And once you're there, I know that it's not going to show any data because we don't have any data here, right? We just kind of started out today. But what it will show you is comparison trends from other organizations that do the same work that you do. It kind of shows you the average of what they are in their secure score. So if their secure score is at 40 and I'm at 21.3, I definitely have some work ahead of me, right? And it will kind of show you just like the line graph in the history. It will kind of show you that same thing, but it'll be like a maroon line for them. So very cool to check out here. It's pretty awesome that you can kind of see your score because a lot of people are really, lack the confidence in their company's cybersecurity posture. So 78% of them actually do, which is a horrible number when you think about it, right? So any questions about secure score real quick? I want to ask you on a poll here. Would you be interested in a secure score assessment? Go ahead and answer that for me real quick. That's just for us to see, where everyone's at. And, when we're talking about, security and secure stuff. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, just one thought of this. Secure Score is this is going to manage everything that's in your M365 environment. So it's not getting everything else, but it's always a good thing to kind of figure out, okay, what is my baseline, right? And then also kind of figure out where do I compare to my other folks in the industry, right? Other organizations in the industry. And Microsoft is constantly updating this, but you got to be careful though. There's a lot of improvement actions there. But sometimes I liken it as like a straitjacket, right? Like you can move your arms and they tighten it, and you move less, and all this, you're like this. Recently, I was in there with my organization, and all of a sudden my employees all started messaging me like, hey, you locked us out of this and that and the other. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Well, I just
turned
want to talk about the performance yesterday in prod. Okay. What was it? 13.
Okay, cool. Thank you. I was like, prod?
All right.
Don't know.
All right.
But I can help you out with. Anyways, that's just the thing is you got to be a little careful. But these secure store assessments are really good to kind of like to check it out. But thanks for voting, everybody. Just like to help out with that. Okay, let's move on.
Yeah. Hey, thank you, Sherman. I appreciate it. So yeah, when we're talking about secure, what about like phishing attacks, right? Phishing is a huge deal. Is your staff really trained on phishing attacks? Have you ever done anything to train on that? I'm gonna put another poll out real quick because I want to see where everybody's kind of at, because phishing itself is ranked the go-to by most hackers, and it's because it's the easiest to do and it works the most often. And you have to have good training. You have to, because just like when I was a Marine, I used to run my guys to the dirt, and they hated me. They hated me, but I knew if in the future we were going to go somewhere or do something, that they would be ready to go. So training is key. So what I like is to show this picture here. Defense in depth, 24/7 monitoring. Your secure team's on it, right? There go. And then it just takes a click of a user and an email, right, to damage you.
Yeah,
and that's
Phil.
really, yeah.
Sorry, I wanted to jump in here. One of our favorite things to do with our customers, pending they have a certain level of licensing, which we can talk through licensing if you want to contact me, is you can actually send kind of fake phishing attacks. So one of our customers in particular, he's hilarious. He's the system admin for a dealer group with several locations. We did this fake phishing attack with him, and he wanted it. He specifically asked for, if somebody clicks on the link, that it automatically pops to the video that pops up in Jurassic Park on the computer screen, where the guy's like, So we could do some pretty incredible things with that. But I mean, Microsoft has a lot of tools to help you make sure, even if you are doing training, identify your vulnerabilities, and we can help make that fun too.
That's awesome. that's hilarious. We got Dotson here. Dotson. Sorry.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, emails are, hugely targeted, right? So 94% of malware is actually delivered by email, which is nuts, right? 94%. And malware's actually increased 358% overall this last year. And then also too, ransomware is increased like 435% compared to a year ago, which is nuts. But yeah, what I like you to do right now, we're gonna get into the next lab real quick. So we talked about secure score here. What I'd like you to do is hit the plus sign. It's moving a little slow here. And I want you to go to office.com, okay? And I'm just gonna kind of show you how to get to the compliance page, right? Now we can go to compliance. We can go here, right, to compliance.microsoft.com, or I'm going to show you how to get here through Office. You go to the admin, right, the little gear right here. So whatever you like to do, if you want to put it in the address bar, and then you're going to go up to show all, and then go to compliance here. Boom. Okay. And now it's going to pull up your Microsoft Compliance Center home screen here. And again, what I love about Microsoft is simplicity, right? Everything looks very similar to the last, homepage, right? So if you're not there, compliance.microsoft.com. I can put it into the chat just in case. Oh, boom. There we go. All right, so once you're there, everybody's good, thumbs up. Okay, so quickly, same overview. You can see your persona settings, hamburger, come up, boom, you're there, right? All right, so the compliance manager, real quick, I'm just gonna go over it. I just want you to know where it's at. It's kind of like, your secure score, right? But actually what this shows you is your compliance score. So it's a very, very similar. You can do the same things. You can go to implement actions. You can put different policies in place to raise your compliance score. So I know if you're in California, it's a little more strict on compliance, and if not, there's hefty fines to come, right? So you got to make sure your compliance score is in the proper score that you need it to be. And I know we didn't talk about it, but for secure score, at least above a 50%, right? Here, I would say the same thing, right? So this is the compliance manager here, and you can go through here. Very, very similar to what we just went through on secure score. All right. But what I'd like to talk about is, actually data loss prevention. So if you go to DLP right here, is everybody right here? Go ahead and click that. And this is basically just an overview of what we're looking at for DLP. You can read some stuff on it. You can get the latest news because Microsoft really likes to push out new information as soon as possible, right? Once they get it. You can watch videos on it to get more information on YouTube. What I'd like you to do is go to policies real quick. And Microsoft really made this easy for everybody. And what this does, right, data loss prevention, it's really a simple method on protecting sensitive information from either risky or inappropriate sharing or transfer or even use. So what I'd like to do is we're going to create one real quick. So go ahead and create a policy. Hit that right there. And it's going to come up with this start template screen. So you can have a template or you can customize depending on what you want. It has different regions. You can, pick the United States. I just want to kind of show what this kind of looks like. If you just hit the financial or medical and health, maybe it's privacy. You can kind of see what the different countries have. And then if you click one, so like, let's say, I don't know, US financial data, right? If you click one here, once you click it, it pops up with basically a description of what it is and then what it actually protects. So credit card numbers, bank account numbers, and routing numbers, which is cool, right? So let's pick that one, right? So let's go to US financial data, and I want you to hit next. And right here is basically just the name and then a description. You can change the name if you like, if you don't want to. So, I mean, we could go to 100, right? Just to change it for whatever reason. Okay, so right here, you can choose a location that it's applied to, different policies. So you can go over, Exchange, SharePoint, OneDrive, and maybe you want to turn them off depending on what your company decides on, right? Because that's really up to you guys. But you can turn these off or on depending on whatever it is you want to do. I'm going to leave them all on because I want to protect across my Microsoft stuff, right? And then this right here is just saying, hey, this is what we're protecting: credit cards, accounts, and routing numbers. So we're going to click that, and you can edit it. So, which is cool because when you hit edit, if you hit that real quick, what it pulls up is actually what the confidence level is for these different, credit card numbers. We want high confidence because if that comes up somewhere or is typed in your Teams or it's typed on a document and it's in an email, right? We want it to be flagged. So maybe we have that on high confidence. Bank account numbers. This one says medium. I don't know. Maybe we want it high because that's kind of important, right? Maybe routing numbers aren't so high because we can find routing numbers anywhere on the web, right? All right, so go ahead and hit save. And I want you to hit next. And right here, it's basically just going to go over different, protection actions. So you know, when content matches the policy conditions, yeah, we want that. Detect a specific amount of sensitivity information, you know, being shared at one time. So maybe at least 10, maybe we want it lower than 10. Maybe we want it at, I don't know, 5 or whatever you want, right? Send an incident report in an email. Send an alert on DLP rules that match. So actually in your, you know, Outlook, you know, if I put, you know, a credit card number in there, I'll put a credit card number in there and it'll pop up on the top left. It says policy tips, you know, warning, hey, this is no go, right? You know, just letting you know that that stuff's in there before you send it. So you can still send it, but it's still giving you a warning saying, hey, that's no go, right? But we can also do is make it more strict to where you can't even send it. So, all right, so we're gonna hit next here. And this is really customizing, overriding different kind of settings here. So if you click, you know, audit, you can, you know, do different things on the clipboard, you know, Bluetooth, printing, allow unallowed apps, different things that you can, you know, check or uncheck. Restricted third parties, which is great because a lot of us use, you know, Dropbox, right? Or Salesforce. So that's something that you can, you know, click on. So go ahead and hit next here. So this is the biggest thing. I don't know about you, but you know, has anyone bought a car before? I'd probably say almost everybody, right? How many of you have never test driven a car before you bought it? Probably none of you, right? You know, we want to test this out before we put it into play because we want to make sure that we hone it down. All right, we want to get, you know, our rounds on target here, just to make sure that it's where we want it. So we're gonna test it out. We'll look at different emails and stuff. We'll try to send stuff and then see how strict it is and make it either more strict or less strict. Go ahead and hit next here. And this is just going to be an overview. You're going to hit submit. And then now the policy is actually going to be put into play here. And then we're going to hit done once this is done. And now, as you can see, my US financial data 100 right here is in my policies. And you can see the different alerts, endpoints. So you can, you know, endpoint settings on different things here. What's great about this is, you know, if you go to Activity Explorer, maybe you don't know what that is. You're like, oh, what is this? And you can actually see what it is up here. Remember, Microsoft gives answers, which is awesome. All right, so now that we talked about data loss prevention, you know, how many of you, you know, use data loss prevention in your organization? I'm gonna send out a poll. I just want to see where we're at. And we got a couple yeses, a couple nos, more yeses. Oh, we're even. Yeah, it's definitely a great tool to have, especially if you're sending you know, important information back and forth, either in the email or Teams or across your Microsoft stuff here, because it's going to protect you. It's going to keep you in compliance. It's going to, you know, it's going to keep you out of trouble, basically. I was a first sergeant, so I always had to deal with all the bad kids, unfortunately. So it's good to not be in trouble. All right, so I know we were talking about DLP here. I want to get into our last lab here before I turn it over. And what I'd like you to do is go to information protection. And you're going into information protection because we're going to talk about security labels, right? And when we're talking about security labels, we're talking about, you know, of course, security, right? But we're talking about how to protect our information. So, you know, attackers are trying to get our information no matter what it is, right? Whether it's financial, customer, patient info, you know, patents or innovation, we need to ensure that our files actually are self-protecting, okay? And, you know, files should protect themselves because they should know who has the right to open them. And then also 2, what rights they actually have, okay? So the best security is self-protection. And, 58% of us, 58% have sent an email or sent something that has sensitive information to the wrong person. And that's a huge number that we need to stop, right? And that we can stop that by using, sensitivity labels. And, on an average, only 5% of companies actually have folders and documents that are actually protected. Only 5%. So if we're not doing that, we definitely need to. So we're going to make this security label real quick. So I want you to go to create a label here. And we're going to put in a name. Now, normally you'd put in, social security number or, I don't know, HR only or something like that. So you know what it is, right? But what I'd like to do is I want to use your persona's name so that way we can see what that looks like, okay? And I'll show you what I mean in a second here. So I'm Megan today, right? Megan with the deep voice. So I got Megan here, and then a display name, Megan, and then a brief description. Just put in, I don't know, protect social security numbers. Let's do that today. And I want you to hit next here. Am I going too fast? Is everybody good? All right. Have a great day. All right, next. So right here, I know these are grayed out. This would be something that you would see if we picked everybody. But what I'd like you to do is go to files and emails here. And really, this is just gonna configure the files and emails only. But you can do it over groups and sites and Azure. It's an awesome tool. So hit next here. And I want you to hit encrypt the file and email and mark the content, okay? And I want you to hit next here one more time. And this is talking about encryption here real quick. So with encryption, what we can do is, user access expires, right? So maybe we only want this document to only be seen for a so long a period of time, right? Or maybe it's, instead of, the entire life of that document that it lives, maybe we only make it live for 30 days because of the important information on it. So we can have a specific date. We can have a number of days that we can do that. So allow offline or online. That's totally up to you guys, but I would hit always. And then I want you to hit assign permissions. And assign permissions is going to pop up onto the top right here. And what you can do is you can hit all users and groups, right? And this will take everybody inside your company, right? Inside your organization here. Or you can do different types of users or groups. So maybe, because we're talking about social security numbers, maybe that's only for the HR team, right? And maybe that's the team that we want to, that group that we want to make. But we're just going to click ourselves today because I just want to show you what it looks like. So I want you to go add user or group. Or groups. And I want you to find your persona's name here. So if you're like Lee Goo, make sure you put, you click your name there. I'm Megan with the deep voice. So hit add. And then what it's going to do is once you save it, it's going to pop up down here. It's a users and groups. And you can see Megan's name is right here, right? And so if it had everybody in organization, that's what it would say. If you had multiple people that we picked, right, to make a good group, it would have, basically that list that you've checked for. Go ahead and hit next here. We want to mark the content, and we want to mark the content, because we want to make sure that people see once we put in, a social security number that we can see that it has like a watermark, right? And that's what we're going to do today. We can have a watermark, a header, or a footer. We could do all three if we want, but that's totally up to you. So right here, you can put in secret, confidential, top secret, whatever it is that you want. You can put in, do not send PII, right? Because that's a no-no. Font size. It's crazy because it's only showing 10 here, and that's what it starts out with. But what do we use when we normally type something? Either 10 to 12 font, right? So we need to make it a lot bigger. So I'm going to say 100. You can change the color. I like to do red because it, you know, pops out at you. You can do diagonal or horizontal depending on what you want, and then hit save. And then I want you to hit next here. And then say, you know, auto labeling and files and emails. I want to click this, and then I want you to go to add condition. So click that, and then click the first one. It's the only one there, and then hit add. I know that was a lot of clicks. You still with me? We're good? All right. So right here, I want you to hit sensitivity info types real quick. Boom. And as this comes up, Microsoft likes to give you the answers once again and gives you templates of what maybe you might want to use, right? So I want you to hit this slide bar on the side here and go all the way down because the US is at the bottom. And we're going to protect, you know, US Social Security numbers. But what's great is you can see all the other things that you can protect: driver's license numbers, account numbers, passport numbers. Maybe you know, I don't know, work with a company in the UK and you want to look at their license numbers. I don't know, whatever it is that you want, but make sure you click US Social Security numbers, hit add, and then display message. Let's put in do not send PII or, you know, secret, confidential, whatever, right? Right here, it's grayed out because, you know, the group settings, right? We're not having a group setting, right? But that would say something here. Hit next again. And what it's going to do is pull up basically, you know, your review spot. So you're going to look, you're going to quick review. If you need to edit something, go ahead and edit. But I want you to hit create label. And then once it creates, I want you to hit done. And what you have to understand, it's like making a flyer, right? Remember in high school or junior high, you made flyers, right, to go to the dance. But you made the flyers, but now you have to pass them out. So we need to publish these. Yeah, Sherman.
Yeah, no, just to publish. I'm just going on because I want us to, after you publish this, then we'll show them the Word document piece. So super excited about that. All right, publish the sucker.
So you can either hit like mine, right? Mine's Megan. So you can either click, hit publish, or you can double click and it'll pop up on the top right here, and it'll say publish on the top here. So depending on whatever it is, it's all going to take you to the same spot. Just make sure you publish the label. We're going to go through this real quick. It's going to ask, hey, Megan's the one that you want, right? Yes. Next. Users and groups. Yes. Next. Now, policy settings. We want to make sure that we click that we provide justification to remove the label content. Now, what this is really, it's just breadcrumbs, right? So if somebody were to say, hey, I'm going to send this anyway, I want to take this stuff off, but it has Social Security numbers on it. Now we have a breadcrumb of where it came from, right? Who's responsible for taking that label off? So we want to put that on. We want to require that it applies to both emails and documents. Maybe we want Power BI. Maybe you guys use that in your organization, which is very cool. Hit next. And basically, these next three are just going to ask you, which one do you want to pick? Of course, I want to pick the Megan one. It's the only one. And I'm going to hit next. Same thing. And this is for emails, right? Next. And Power BI.
Now you're
And
seeing this is done for Megan, but we can do it for groups. So we don't have to do it just for Megan. So but just want to let you know that. All right, let's get the next one.
So right here, I'm going to put the name in real quick. So Megan, right? You can put in description if you like, you know, protecting Social Security numbers. Now it's going to give you an overview again. If you need to make an edit, go ahead, hit submit. Once it's done, hit done. And now when we look up here at labels, right? Now we can create 100 labels and they're all going to be here. If you hit label policies, these are the policies that are actually published. So you can see which ones are actually published. So we can make a whole bunch, but if we don't publish them, they're not going to be here in play. Okay. So yeah, we're just like Sherman was saying, we're going to go to our Word document here.
Yeah, so this is what we're going to show you here, okay, is, and hopefully the policy, it takes like 10 minutes to kind of get through, but hopefully we're going to use another policy that's already been in there. We're going to open up just a Word document online, right? Because we do have, and this is a real world scenario. One of your people is opening up a Word document. They have a social security number. They have Phil's. Phil's going to give everybody his social security number right now. So please make sure you copy it quickly. Okay, so you can use it. But this is a real world scenario. Like, I got it. I'm going to hold on to it, and then I'm going to put it on a Word document. But what am I going to do as a person? I want to save it onto my desktop, right? Because the voice on the side of the shoulder, Batman's like, save the social security number down to the desktop, right? And the good person's like, no. Anyways, so we're going to do this. I'm going to push save. And what's going to be interesting about this? Oh, look at this, Azure Information Protection. Wait a minute, there's a policy. So we're going to close this. Okay, go ahead and close that and go back. Ah, look at that. Don't send PII. Dun, da, da, right? But so this is important, right? This is what this has done is stop the madness. Stop the madness of people taking stuff that you're trying, as a system admin or somebody who's really trying to secure it. Remember that photo that Phil showed you, right? Of the taking all this time to build this big suit of armor, and then one person clicks and a little arrow, ping. That's what this does. And you remember GDPR and privacy information, PII, right now, it's like $500 fine for every record. Imagine if you did this for 1,000 records. Holy Moses, right? That's where we got to really think about it. So that's really a great explanation of this. All right, so we're gonna make a little bit of a transition here. So we've gone over a bunch of really cool things. Now we're gonna talk a little bit about this program called Cloud Protect. Katie, do you mind we'll push it up here in just a second here, but I'd like to kind of bring you back in and talk about an amazing program that was written by this company, by RyanTech. It's just something else. So off to you, Katie.
Perfect. Thank you, Sherman. So with all of the changes that came with COVID, for some reason, when people got sent home, a lot of cases, businesses weren't really prepared for that scenario, and we had to work quickly and think on our feet. The hackers kind of did the same thing. They saw this as a huge area where they could, expand their hacking capabilities. We consider our customers as an extension of our own business. And when we started seeing an uptick of the amount of customers that were getting breaches and, people clicking on the wrong links, no matter how much, we positioned them or suggested they do things and they said, not yet, not yet. We saw an incredible uptick in just the amount of customers that were being targeted. So, we took this to Microsoft. We're kind of the Microsoft partner problem child in that we're always posing questions first. I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but, hey, Microsoft, what happens if somebody bypasses multi-factor authentication? Hey, Microsoft, how can you be proactive in breaches? How can you tell if an account is being targeted in our organization? Do we just wait until we're hacked and that's how we know? We weren't getting a lot of answers that we liked. You can have Microsoft 365 E5, $57 per user per month, but not all of not everybody has that type of a budget. So what we did is we built a proprietary product called RyanTech Cloud Protect. This is not something we built where things are going to be, sitting on server somewhere. This is something we built in Microsoft's cloud. So using Azure and Office 365, it's built in our system. And for anybody who would like to use Cloud Protect and implement it in their Microsoft cloud, we simply just lift and shift the structure of the product over to your cloud. So it runs on your cloud, the data is in your cloud. It's just simply giving you an overall view of, attempts on your tenant, people who are trying to disobey and share documents or share PII. We can even attach this down to a OneDrive level where you can see exactly what's happening with files in the organization. And it can also extend up to Azure to see who is doing what in Azure, either administratively or if some person has access to something in Azure. So just a quick overview, pardon me, of this tool. So basically, we install it on your tenant, and it runs for at least a couple of weeks. This basically starts to identify what typical activity looks like. Okay, they're logging in from this IP address. This is their computer, and then also identify what atypical activity looks like. Okay, this customer, this person in accounting, they logged in from California, 2 minutes ago. And now somebody's trying to log in from Texas. Well, that's probably atypical activity that you really wouldn't otherwise have eyes into if it weren't for Cloud Protect. Once it is, as it goes on, it learns, it uses AI and machine learning. So if we say, hey, this person is logging in from a new device. Yeah, it's okay. They just got a new computer. We tell it that that's an okay alert, and then it won't alert to that anymore. So it really helps you from an even higher level of casting a bigger net of being able to identify what really is happening in your organization and being much more proactive in breach protection. It does actually prevent breaches, and we will show you data of that. And so this is something that's available on Microsoft's Azure store. I'll drop a link in the chat towards the end here. It is something that, basically we want to get the information to you however you can. So when it alerts to medium and high level risks, our team is going to contact you. RyanTech monitors this 24/7. So it's not like you're downloading something in your tenant or applying something to your tenant, and then you have even more work to do. We give you access to see everything that we can see. But when it comes to being proactive and, reacting to those alerts, our team is going to be on the forefront of that and making sure to bring any atypical activity to you, making sure also to not bother you intensely. We want to make sure that you have a life, but we also want to make sure you're protected. So I'll show you on the next screen. If you want to go to the next screen, this is an example of a Power BI report that we built that we simply provide access to. And this is going to report specifically on what Cloud Protect is finding. There's 3 tabs on it. And we can customize the crap out of this report. I mentioned, getting OneDrive data in there. So data on a file and folder level for what's happening in your OneDrive or SharePoint. We can add customizations and add more tabs depending on how you would like to see the data presented. So it'll tell you, hey, there's a couple of accounts that we've seen suspicious activity on, or what, atypical activity on. We think that you should review these 2 accounts. There's 5 breaches prevented, either by things that we had implemented from a security posture that are new, because Cloud Protect was able to identify a few vulnerabilities that allowed us to kind of put a microscope on and work with you to make some changes security or compliance wise to increase that security posture. And these breaches were prevented because of changes that we made or because of alerts that the tool alerted to that we were able to immediately act on. It'll alert to and show you how many admin changes in your tenant that were audited and give you a picture of, what admin changes were happening and what those were. It'll also tell you, how many suspicious logins. So I already mentioned maybe they're logging in from a different IP address or a new device. So you can dive into that information. And it'll also tell you, we think these 2 people could have a better password, or, maybe they've logged in, too many times. Maybe they have a really weak password. It will give you suggestions for which users, maybe could use a little boost to their password, have that reset and increase, what, the security of their password in general. You can see it gives you a really good timeline on the top right. You can actually adjust the date range that you're looking at. So from the time this is installed, into how long you have it in the future, you can look that far back, which is great for reviews. And even in sometimes with compliance audits, you can get a good idea of what your security posture looks like and how it has improved in working with RyanTech, or, just increasing your security and compliance posture in general. And then it'll actually identify, you see that little circle, accounts by highest risk. This being in Power BI, if you use Power BI, I know you already love it, but you can actually click through each individual account. So you click on a color, it will identify that account. And all of a sudden, this reporting and the timeline and the information admin items for review at the bottom will be specific to that user. So you can get an idea of why it's suggesting that these accounts are a little bit higher risk, what activity they've done that is not necessarily typical activity that's either given medium or high risk alerts. And, and it allows you to kind of dive in to see what's behind us alerting to that account being a potential risk, right? What changes can we make? This is already identifying the vulnerabilities for you. And then we can work with you to help make those changes so that that account is in a better position, has a better security posture. Aside from this report and it constantly running, and RyanTech, checking this 24/7 and working with you on the alerts, helping identifying those vulnerabilities, we also send monthly account review emails for what this is finding. So you'll see that on the next slide. If you want to go ahead and go to the next slide, this is just an example of what, how we can help you see what's happening on a monthly basis in your account. You can see how many licensed users you have. So in some cases, with some of our clients, they're like, holy cow, our workforce is cut in half from what that number is. Like, I don't even know why we have that many licenses. So it gives you a good opportunity to do an internal license audit. We talked a lot about the secure score today. It really is important. We like to see, somewhere in the range of 50 to 60% of what that total score is. Because depending on what type of licensing you have, maybe you have Windows 10 licensing in the cloud, maybe you have enterprise mobility and security to help manage identity access and device management. Depending on the product that you have, your total number of the secure score will be different. So as long as you're in that 50 to 60% range, that means, like Sherman said, you're not straitjacketed, right? If you had a perfect score, you'd probably be living in a straitjacket a little bit. But if you have that 50 to 60%, I'd say is a pretty normal range. Would you agree with me, Sherman?
I would. Yeah. I mean, when you start getting the 70s and 80s and 90s, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's good. It's good.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So just gives you a higher level look of things. I'll go ahead and post some contact information in the chat. Yeah, and Sherman, it looks like you're throwing up a poll there as well.
Yes, we've got a couple polls here. Would you be interested in a 30-day free trial of Cloud Protect, which is pretty cool. It's super simple. I actually did it myself. It was just super simple. So that's cool. There's a security posture assessment. Just go ahead and we're not going to publish the results here. Want to keep anonymity, of course. Now, remember, the way to kind of take a look at engaging with a partner, you want to look at it from the intellectual point of view. You want to look at it from the how do we solve problems point of view. And I think that's where RyanTech really does a really good job. It's not the, hey, let's get on a meeting and check this out. I can sell you A, I can sell you B. You want to check the watch over here. You want to, we don't work that way. That's just, oh God, it makes me just want to cringe, right? So I think if you do schedule a call, or if you're interested in here, Katie's going to actually send you a calendar invite at the conclusion of this. And if that calendar invite time doesn't work for you, just suggest another time. Because we've found that sometimes when we send the emails, they get into email filters, right? And then they don't get to you. So usually calendar invite, just let us know. If you want to just further the conversation. That's really what it's going to be. It's just a conversation. So, just a conversation on that. But they're what they created. And what I really like also about RyanTech is, I've been in the partner channel for 6 or 7 years, and when I talked to when I got introduced to RyanTech in the very beginning, they're one of the first companies. And they don't like to toot their horn very much, but I will. I'll tell this. They're one of the first companies that actually use artificial intelligence with IoT sensors to create what's called a predictive maintenance schedule for one of the largest, most well-respected, auto manufacturers in the world. Starts with an M. That's all I'm going to say. Okay? But what's very interesting about that is they help them because they look for what are the problems, what could they solve, and they created this IoT sensor that would manage all of the predictive maintenance issues in a car, like how hard it's been driven, how fast it's been driven, when to change the oil, when to do this. And what that ended up doing was saving this large manufacturer about 30%. But then they also used AI to figure out when was the perfect time to sell that car. Now that was like the game changer, right? Because you just didn't know. You're like, oh, well, okay, this car in the first 2 years has 30,000 miles, right? But this other car's got 45,000 miles. Wait a minute, well, when did we sell that car? So that's why I like to say that story. I know they don't like to toot their horn about it, but I do because it's amazing what they did, right? And this is the thought process, and that's why I think it's pretty cool. So, I can't say enough about them. I'm a facilitator here. I think what they do is amazing stuff. So it'd be good maybe to even have that conversation.
Yeah, and that's another example of how we problem solve. We're so experienced and we have so much knowledge about the entire Microsoft stack. And we're specifically good at hearing our customers. And it's kind of like I always tell people, whether it's a licensing conversation or a security conversation, or whether they're trying to solve a bigger problem about, like you mentioned, with that manufacturer, give us the equation, give us all the factors, throw some calculus at us, and, we'll come up with some suggestions, option A, option B, option C, just what is possible, right? We don't expect you to have all the answers or come to us and say, I was thinking about this because of X, Y, and Z, which we're always open to. Just tell us what you need, and then we can come up with, some suggestions and help you through that, educate you in doing that. And that's what we love. That's
great. That's great. Yeah. So we're going to open up to some questions. If you have any, please come to the chat window. Happy to look at it. But, with security, there's a front end stuff, like the simple stuff that we talked about, right? We talked about MFA. It's like, that's number one thing. Facial recognition. You got to get that started. Like, if you don't have that, holy smokes, you got to have it, right? But then we kind of got into, and as you saw within that security, the compliance center and these are things that you can kind of click on. But really the root, I think this is my opinion, the root is policy creations, right? Policies, right? How do we allow people to access what, and how do you do it? And then the data labeling piece that we were showing you, that's kind of like the extra step, right? Of like, even though we have these great policies, there's still sometimes we have those people in our organization that, get the arrow right inside the, like they just click on something, and that's where you do that. But then you take all of that and then you put it into something that can monitor, right? Monitor that, right? Monitor the false positives or whatnot. That's where we really start making our way through this and doing that. So any questions? And you can talk right now if you'd like to unmute, no problem. We've got about 5 more minutes. We can give you some minutes back in your day. But hey, we're here to answer anything or any problems or solutions that you're kind of looking at or want more information about. We're here for you.
We don't bite.
Katie doesn't. Katie's nice. She's super nice. Phil, now he's a 20-year Marine. I'm thinking he might bite a little bit. Okay. He was a first sergeant. He had to kick people around. Making sure they're in shape, right?
Yeah, and don't make the mistake my brother did. He's trying to tell him about moving to the cloud. We can help with breach protection. And he would just kind of look at me like, you're cute. Like, you're just a little sister. And then he got breached and had to pay 30 grand to get a month's worth of data back. And I was like, what was that you were saying about, huh? You know, so.
Well, you know, and also another good example too, we just had a good friend of ours get breached for their Azure. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And what people don't know is that they got the credential. Okay. They created a new user. Then they went into that new user. And what they did is they created Bitcoin mining machines. In 2 days, $12,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, go ahead.
And that one, like a lot of people don't know, you never want to allow anyone to have full access to your whole Azure portal. You want to create resource groups. You want to create RBAC controls, right? And you want to say, okay, you can only get into this resource group. And oh, by the way, you can only provision these size VMs for anything that you're doing, or you have to request, right? This is part of security that a lot of people don't think about, that the policies, right? That these things that you have to understand. I'm sorry, Katie, what were you about to say?
Well, I was going to say with Cloud Protect, it's so crazy because about 2 out of every 5 installations of Cloud Protect, we find that they've already been hacked and that hacker's just lurking in the background waiting for the right time to pounce.
For like 6 months too, right? I mean,
that's what we had one that was
just chill.
Yeah, we had one that was in there for like, gosh, what was it? Basically like over a year, and they were, I mean, I don't even want to go into it. It's scary. Okay, it's scary. We want to make sure that's not happening to you.
Very true. All right. All right. Well, hey, everyone, thank you so much for your day today. Really appreciate it. I hope you're able to learn something from this. You know, really do appreciate it. Katie will be reaching out to you in a little bit from the facilitator point of view. Thanks again. Katie, it has always been a pleasure. Thanks for allowing us to be here for you guys. Really appreciate that.
Thank you, Sherman. Thank you, Phil. It's great.
All right.
And thank you all the attendees.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Have a great afternoon, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.
See you guys.
Bye.
All right. We'll just hang on one second, Katie. We'll remove everybody from the meeting, and we'll just do a